Hi, it's Neil McGovern here. Today I'm just going to run you through more or less what I do for my warm-up. So, first of all, I'm going to get your reed, make sure it's moist. And this is part of the warm-up. As I'm actually putting the saxophone together with the mouthpiece on the crook, I'm just going to play the tone which you get from that part of the saxophone, which is roughly about an F. It's not quite in tune, so don't worry about trying to tune it, but it does help just as a nice sort of stable note to play. So I'll play this. And I'll probably hold that for a few seconds, maybe for a bit longer than that actually, just to really sort of feel, oh, how's this reed coping? Is it warping? And I'm listening to my sound. Now, you don't get a wonderful sound. No one gets a wonderful sound from just the crook alone, but it's something. And the good thing about it is that the tone you get is very close to our F, our middle F on the saxophone, which is the first note I like to warm up with. So as I was playing there, what I noticed, a couple of things I noticed was I've just literally got the saxophone now, I haven't played yet today, and it's cold. So it's a little bit flat, and possibly my mouthpiece is a little bit far off, but I'm going to leave that for now because I think I'll warm up. The other thing I noticed is that the reed was just oscillating very slightly. The tone was oscillating. I'll take responsibility for it. I won't blame the reed, but there was an oscillation in the sound a little bit. It probably is the reed just settling down a little bit, so I'm not too worried about that. But I'm going to do that again a few times until I'm kind of happy with the sound. I'm not fully happy with the sound, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to continue on and do the next thing for my warm-up. This is when I've got time. Now, sometimes you don't really have time to do a whole lot of stuff, but the reason for doing the long note in sort of middle register is to just not tax the reed. I find if you just go straight into sort of screaming altissimo or massive loud low notes or just tons of crazy flying around the instrument, it doesn't really seem to settle you into the right sort of sound that you probably want. Whether that's classical or jazz or whatever, you need to just play something kind of that's not too taxing for the reed, just a middle range note. I really like the F. It's a very resonant note on the saxophone. Obviously it's the second harmonic off the low B flat, the lowest note on the instrument. So it has this lovely tone to it. It has a lovely resonance. So next I will do some very slow scales, usually literally just a 1 octave F major scale. Just listening as I go through to each note and thinking, am I happy with it? Is anything feeling a bit resistant? Is anything just a bit funny tuning wise? I'm just trying to basically just listen to my sound, and I'm starting simply. Next I'll do a simple tongued scale like this, doing 5 notes on each degree of the scale. Etc. I won't play all of this because it's going to take too long, but I'll go up that scale. I might go all the way up to a high F now. Now the saxophone's starting to warm up, I might start expanding up to use the full range of the instrument. Next, what will I do? I'll probably do some more combined articulation. I've introduced the tongue now. I've got some articulation, but now I want to match the tongue and the fingers. So I might do my 5-finger type exercises. Known from piano exercises really, but I'll do and you can hear what I'm doing as I go through. I'll do 2 sort of patterns on one articulation. So the first time I did them 4 notes slurred, and then again, and then I did 4 notes tongued, and then again, and then I did 2 slurred, 2 tongued, and basically I'll go up that scale and then probably reach the top of the range in normal range and then come back down again, and just use various combinations of 4-note articulations. So could be all slurred, could be all tongue, could be some combination of the two. So maybe 2 slurred, or 2 tongue with a slur in the middle and then a tongue. You can work it out, whatever. But try some different ones and try and be consistent in what you do each day. And now you've introduced something a little bit more complicated. You're thinking about coordination between your fingers and your tongue. Obviously, we're trying to breathe properly all the time. Make sure you're thinking about using your diaphragm. And you've got time by doing these simple things to think about all aspects of technique, really. Then I'll go into, usually by that point, I'll probably go into playing a whole bunch of scales. So depending on how much time I've got, I will do all my majors full range, and then maybe some scales in thirds or fourths or whatever I'm working on at the moment. Could be anything really, just depending on your level. So that's what I would recommend next. And then I'll do... or maybe either before, I can't remember if I do this before or not, but at some point I will also try to do some overtone exercises, and that might just be once through the B-flat overtones. So I'll try that. Now I'm still warming up, so it's not perfect, but that's the sort of thing I might do, just trying to practice a few of those. And then I might do some altissimo scales. I tend to do these fairly slowly, just trying to get my control, make sure that range is sort of locked down and steady, and not sort of getting just wildly out of control. And then there's other bits and pieces that I might do. There is if I've got time, sometimes I might do that exercise with just the mouthpiece alone, where you're trying to do a big swoop down and doing the scale, that sort of thing. I'm sort of rushing these a little bit, but these are the sort of things I might do just to warm myself up and make sure lots of boxes are ticked. And then I'm going to get into some sight reading, hopefully. I need to try and make sure I'm doing some sight reading. Now, having covered all those things, then maybe you could get into doing your improvising, or maybe doing your repertoire, or learning pieces, whatever you are working on particularly. But I think it's great to have those fundamental things put in place first. So if you've got time to do these sort of warm-ups, it really does help. And if you're playing classical stuff, you're aiming for a classical style warm-up. If you're playing jazz stuff, maybe do it a bit differently. And maybe you're trying to aim for that jazz sound, just at the outset. Oh, my jazz mouthpiece on, of course, then, and the tone will be different. So you want to try and, whatever you're about to do, maybe try and warm up towards that a bit. It would be funny to do a fully classical warm-up and then go into the jazz thing. Would work, but then definitely I would find personally, if I was doing like a sort of more jazz tone and then went to try and play some French classical repertoire, that's not going to maybe serve me very well. So anyway, that's my more or less what I would do to warm up. Many of these things I give credit to Kyle Horch, my old teacher from years ago, who came up with many of these things. Well, I'm sure many people do similar things, but credit to him for many of his helpful suggestions. But anyway, hopefully that's helped you. You can try that warm-up as well. I think I might put the warm-up on a link, and maybe you can go and download it. It might be on my website, actually. So look on my website anyway, and hopefully that's helpful to you.